Our report identifies what we think is needed to make sure the legacy of Grenfell is real and brings about lasting and progressive change. Put simply, if you work in the construction industry and you do not feel the weight of responsibility you have for keeping people safe, you are in the wrong job. The losses so many people have suffered, and my involvement in this process has left a mark on me as a person and as a professional, which will last far beyond this inquiry. And although this inquiry is now ending, we know that for many people their journey continues. We wish them strength for the future.
In a moment, my fellow panel members, Ms Istephan and Mr Axball, wish to add some comments of their own. Before they do so, however, I should like to thank the inquiry team, without whom it would not have been possible to carry out an investigation of this kind. It would be invidious to single out individual names for mention on this occasion, because everyone involved, whatever their particular task, has played an essential part in enabling us to do our work. With their help, we have followed up many lines of inquiry, some of which led to surprising revelations, and have collected and digested a huge number of documents and statements, not to mention hearing many days of oral evidence. All those who worked for the inquiry over the years are named in an appendix to the report, and we owe them a deep debt of gratitude. I now invite Ms Istephan to say a few words.
Thank you, Sir Martin. Good morning. Before I joined the inquiry panel, I spent nearly 30 years as an architect. In that role, I developed a particular interest in health and safety, fire, and accessibility matters. Returning home from a holiday in June 2017, I flew over West London and saw the burning tower in the early hours from the air. As for so many others, this was a profound shock. First, of course, as a human response, but also as a professional who had spent their career working to make buildings safe. Throughout this inquiry, we have been determined to find out how such a disaster was possible and what needs to be done to save lives in the future. As Sir Martin has just summarised, we have found many failings across a wide range of institutions, organisations and individuals that spanned many years, which together have led to the terrible fire at Grenfell Tower. They include many failures of the construction industry, my own sector, which is where I will focus my comments on today. Since the fire, the government has passed the Building Safety Act. The Act is welcome, but we need to go further. Our report identifies what we think is needed to make sure the legacy of Grenfell is real and brings about lasting and progressive change. Our recommendations place new burdens and responsibilities on people and organisations. I make no apologies for that. Put simply, if you work in the construction industry and you do not feel the weight of responsibility you have for keeping people safe, you are in the wrong job. The change we need to bring about is partly about structures and regulations. Sir Martin has set out the key points in what we have proposed, and the report explains our recommendations in detail. But the necessary change is also one of culture and behaviours. Change on this scale needs to be owned and led by those of us working in the sector. It is not enough to pass an Act of Parliament and to sit back and think the work is done. Without change in behaviour and a recognition that the needs of the people who use our buildings must be placed at the centre of our work, the lessons of Grenfell will not truly be learnt in full. One of the core themes of our report is technical incompetence of many of those involved in the refurbishment project. As hundreds of other buildings are now known to have similar cladding systems, it is clear that the problem of incompetence is widespread. It follows that part of the change that is needed to the culture of the industry is an ongoing commitment to the development of professional skills. If we are not professionally curious, we will not become technically competent. Again, this change needs everyone in the construction industry to play their part in the implementation of the inquiry's recommendations. We must also keep at the very forefront of our minds our responsibilities towards those who are most vulnerable. At Grenfell, a significant number of those who died were children, had disabilities, or were vulnerable in other ways. The risks posed by a particular building and the right response to those risks are always as diverse as the people who live or work in it. That is why we recommend that the government thinks again about defining higher risk buildings solely by reference to their height. It is why the fire safety strategies must be provided for safety of all occupants. And it is why a stay-put strategy will never be appropriate where there is a risk of fire spreading over the building's external walls. It is why we recommend that the government guidance should be reviewed so that the safety and resilience of a building is prioritised. And it is why we stand by the inquiry's Phase 1 recommendation that the need for PEEPs, personal emergency evacuation plans, for residents with mobility issues or other impairments. As an inquiry panel, we have acted throughout with fairness, independence and impartiality. That is what the law requires. At the same time, the losses so many people have suffered and my involvement in this process has left a mark on me as a person and as a professional which will last far beyond this inquiry. And although this inquiry is now ending, we know that for many people their journey continues. We wish them strength for the future.